Captain Elias Rowe knew the rules. Never enter the Verex exclusion zone. No rescues, no scans, no explanations. Every navigation academy drilled it into your head from day one. The planet at the center of the zone designated Verex 9 was marked in red across every star map. Ships that crossed its gravity well vanished. Drones lost signal. Even long-range sensors returned only static, as if the planet itself refused to be observed. So when Elias's fighter took a plasma hit during a border skirmish and his engines died, he knew exactly how unlucky he was. "Control, I'm losing thrust," he gasped, blood dripping down his temple. Coordinates drifting static. The stars spun as gravity seized his ship like a clenched fist. Warning lights screamed. Hull temperature spiked. Elias strapped himself in, knowing ejecting was pointless. The last thing he saw before impact was the planet's surface rushing up vast jungles broken by jagged stone spires that looked almost carved. Then everything went white. He woke to pain. Real, burning pain that told him he was still alive, an outcome he hadn't expected. His cockpit was split open, smoke curling into alien air thick with spores and glowing pollen. Rain fell in warm, heavy sheets, hissing against hot metal. Elias tried to move. His legs didn't respond. A glance down made his stomach drop. The lower half of the cockpit had crushed inward. His right leg was pinned, twisted at an angle no human limb should ever take. Blood soaked his flight suit. "Great," he muttered weakly. Forbidden planet, crippled, alone. He reached for his emergency beacon. Dead. Of course it was. The jungle around him pulsed with unfamiliar life, bioluminescent vines creeping closer, distant calls echoing in patterns that felt almost intentional. Elias's training screamed at him to stay put, conserve energy, wait for death or miracle. Neither came. Instead, something moved in the foliage. Elias froze. The leaves parted, slowly, cautiously. A small figure stepped into view. It wasn't tall, barely came up to Elias's chest, even standing upright. Its skin shimmered with faint, shifting colors, deep blues and soft greens like light passing through water. Large eyes reflected the glow of the jungle, curious rather than afraid. A child, an alien child. Elias's hand twitched toward his sidearm out of instinct, then stopped. The creature made no hostile move, no weapon, no snarl, just a soft, clicking sound. Almost worried. "Hey," Elias whispered, throat dry. I'm not a threat." The child tilted its head, studying the wreckage, the blood, the way Elias couldn't move. Then it did something no report, no legend, no nightmare story had ever described about Verex 9. It stepped closer. The child placed a small, glowing hand on the crushed metal and pushed. Metal groaned, shifted. Elias screamed as pressure lifted from his leg just enough to free it. The pain was blinding, but it was relief too. The child crouched, slipped under Elias's arm, and with impossible strength for its size, hoisted him onto its back. Elias's vision blurred. "Wait," he breathed. You can't." The child clicked softly again, then it ran fast into the jungle, away from the burning wreck, carrying a dying human pilot across a planet no one was supposed to survive. And for the first time since crashing, Elias felt something unfamiliar bloom through the pain. Elias drifted in and out of consciousness as the jungle blurred past him. The alien child moved with astonishing speed, feet barely touching the ground as it weaved between roots and glowing ferns. Every time Elias slipped, small hands adjusted their grip with careful precision, ever pressing where the pain spiked worst. This was not panic. This was practice. Elias coughed, tasting copper. You shouldn't help me," he murmured. "Your people. They warn others away from this place." The child made a soft, rhythmic sound, not quite speech, but not random either. It felt like reassurance. The jungle opened suddenly into a narrow canyon carved from smooth black stone. Symbols glowed faintly along the walls, reacting to the child's presence. As they passed, the markings dimmed behind them, hiding the path. Elias noticed through half-lidded eyes. "You're hiding us," he whispered. The child nodded. They reached a cavern mouth concealed by hanging vines that shimmered like liquid glass. Inside, the air was warm and clean. The smell of blood faded, replaced by something mineral and calm. The child gently lowered Elias onto a bed of soft, moss-like growth that pulsed with bioluminescent light. The moment his body touched it, pain dulled, not gone, but quieter. Elias groaned in relief. "What is this place?" The child touched its chest. "Luma," it said its first clear word. Elias blinked. "Your name?" Luma nodded again, then pointed deeper into the cave where faint shapes moved behind curtains of light. "Your family?" Elias asked. Luma's glow dimmed slightly. "Gone," the child said softly. The word hit Elias harder than the crash. He tried to sit up, failed. His vision swam. Luma was instantly at his side, placing both glowing hands over Ilias's shattered leg. Light flowed, not heat, not electricity, but something alive. Elias screamed as bone shifted, then aligned. The pain didn't vanish, but it changed, focused, controlled, like a wound finally being treated instead of ignored. Medic, Elias gasped weakly. Luma shook its head. Keeper, it said. Footsteps echoed deeper in the cavern. Elias tensed, adrenaline flaring. Luma, listen to me. If others come, they won't, Luma said quickly. Not tonight. A shadow passed across the cave entrance, something massive. Ilias's heart hammered. Luma turned toward the darkness and raised one hand. The symbols on the cavern walls flared brightly, forming a translucent barrier just as a low, predatory growl echoed outside. Whatever hunted the jungle did not enter. Elias stared at the child in awe. You're not just surviving here, he whispered. You're protecting it. Luma looked at him with eyes far older than its small frame should allow. This planet is sick, the child said. Your kind hurts it. My kind hid it. Elias swallowed. Then why save me? Luma hesitated. Then it reached into a small pouch at its side and pulled out a broken piece of metal chart, human-made, a pilot's insignia. You fell like him, Luma said quietly. He didn't wake up. Elias felt his chest tighten. So you carried me, he said. Yes, Luma replied. This time, someone lives outside. Thunder rolled not from the sky, but from something moving across the jungle canopy. Luma looked toward the sound, fear flickering for the first time. They're coming, the child said, and they will not care that you're hurt. Elias clenched his fists. Then teach me, he said, how to survive your world. Luma met his gaze. First, the child replied, you must learn why this planet is forbidden. Night on Verex 9 was not darkness, it was alive. The jungle glowed brighter after sunset, veins of light pulsing through leaves and stone alike. Shapes moved beneath the canopy, massive silhouettes that bent trees aside as if they were grass. The air vibrated with low-frequency calls that Elias felt in his bones more than heard. He lay still on the moss bed, sweat cooling on his skin, as Luma tightened the glowing bindings around his leg. Don't move, the child said. The bone is listening. Elias almost laughed. Of course it is. But when he shifted slightly, pain flared sharp and immediate, and he stopped. All right, he muttered. Listening, Luma nodded solemnly. Beyond the barrier, something circled, heavy footfalls paused, sniffed, moved on. You said the planet is sick, Elias said quietly. What does that mean? Luma sat beside him, small hands clasped. Long ago, the child began. Your people came to take energy from the core. They drilled too deep, woke the heart. Elias frowned. The heart. Luma pointed downward. This world thinks, the child said. Not like you, not like me, but it remembers harm. Ilias's stomach tightened. He had heard classified rumor, sentient planets, reactive ecosystems, but nothing like this. So the exclusion zone, he said. The bans, the disappearances. A mercy, Luma replied. If ships come, the heart defends itself. As if summoned, the ground beneath them pulsed faintly, warm. Why not talk? Elias asked. Why not warn us? Luma's eyes dimmed. We tried, the child said. Your leaders listened, then lied. They said the planet was hostile, that we were monsters. Elias felt a familiar, bitter anger rise. So they made you a secret. Yes, a sudden flash lit the jungle, artificial, white, sharp. Ilias's blood ran cold. That's not lightning. Luma was already moving. Drones, the child said. They followed your crash. The barrier flickered as scanning beams swept across the cavern entrance. Metallic hums cut through the jungle's organic sounds. Military, Elias asked. Luma nodded grimly. They want the heart. A sharp crack echoed as a drone fired a probe. The jungle reacted instantly, veins snapping upward, crushing metal in a burst of sparks. The barrier flared brighter. But Elias knew what came next. They'll escalate, he said. Bombardment. Ground teams. Luma looked at him, fear finally breaking through its calm. We can hide, the child said. But not forever. Elias pushed himself upright despite the pain. Then we don't hide, he said. We tell the truth. Luma shook its head. They won't listen. Elias met the child's gaze, voice steady despite the terror clawing at him. They will, he said. Because I'll make them. Luma studied him carefully. You are weak, the child said. Elias smiled faintly. I know, but I'm loud. Another explosion rocked the jungle. The barrier cracked. Time was running out. Luma extended a glowing hand. The heart can speak through you, the child said. But it will change you. Elias didn't hesitate. If that's the price, he said, I'll pay it. Luma placed its hand over Elias's chest. The world went silent. Then the planet spoke. Elias screamed, not from pain but from scale. His mind was torn open and filled with something vast and ancient. Oceans of memory surged through him, continents shifting, stars dying overhead, the slow, patient awareness of a world that had existed long before humans learned to burn fuel. The heart did not speak in words, it spoke in truth. Elias felt the drills biting into the planet's core, the panic, the rage, the decision not to annihilate, but to isolate, to scare the intruders away rather than destroy them. A planet choosing restraint. When the connection released, Elias collapsed, gasping. Luma caught him before he hit the stone. "You lived," the child whispered, awe in its voice. Elias laughed weakly. "Barely." Outside, the jungle shook as Imperial dropships broke through the canopy. Searchlights cut through bioluminescent fog. Soldiers in heavy armor advanced, weapons humming with lethal charge. Elias dragged himself to the cave entrance, leaning heavily on Luma. The barrier shattered. Soldiers poured in, rifles raised. "Contact," someone shouted. "Human pilot and unknown xeno-juvenile." Elias raised his hand. "Stop." His voice boomed not louder, but deeper. The sound vibrated through stone and bone alike. Every soldier froze. The ground beneath their feet pulsed. "This planet is alive," Elias said, eyes glowing faintly with emerald light. "And you are standing on its heart." Command feeds across the fleet lit up as Elias's words bypassed encryption. Streaming everywhere, every ship, every command center. "You banned this world because you were afraid," Elias continued. "Afraid of what you broke. Afraid of responsibility." The jungle responded. Vines wrapped gently but firmly around weapons, tearing them from hands. The soil shifted, locking armored boots in place without crushing them. "This planet doesn't want war," Elias said. "It wants to heal." A commander stepped forward, shaken. "You expect us to believe a planet can think?" The ground answered, raising a massive stone formation etched with the same glowing symbols as Luma's sanctuary. "Believe it," Elias said softly, "or leave." Silence stretched. Then slowly weapons were lowered. A message flashed across every channel. "Cease operation. Full withdrawal ordered." Relief hit Elias like a wave. His knees buckled. Luma caught him again, holding him upright. "You did it." The child breathed. Elias shook his head. "We did." As the soldiers retreated and ships lifted off, the jungle calmed. The bioluminescence dimmed to a peaceful glow. The planet exhaled. Luma looked up at Elias. "You can't leave now." Elias knew it was true. He felt the heart still echoing within him, fading but present. "I'll stay," he said quietly. "As long as you need me." Luma smiled wide and bright. "Then you are a keeper now," the child said. Above them, the stars watched as a forbidden world became something else entirely. Not a weapon, not a secret, but a voice. Elias healed slowly. His leg never fully forgot the crash. It ached when the jungle storms rolled in. A deep reminder etched into bone, but he learned how to walk again on living ground that adjusted itself beneath his steps. Roots shifted to support him. Moss firmed when he leaned too hard. The planet noticed him now. "You limp less today," Luma observed one morning, watching him practice beside a glowing stream. "That's because your planet cheats," Elias replied with a tired smile. Luma considered this. "The heart calls it kindness." Weeks passed. Imperial ships no longer crossed the exclusion zone, but they watched from a careful distance. Satellites hovered at the edge of sensor range, never quite able to lock on. Every attempt to scan the planet returned the same result. Static layered over something that felt uncomfortably like awareness. Elias became the only bridge. Messages came through him, never commands, never threats, just warnings, requests, boundaries. "Do not drill, do not burn, do not take what you cannot heal." Commanders listened, not because they suddenly became virtuous, but because the alternative was a planet that could swallow fleets whole. Luma walked with Elias through ancient ruins, half consumed by jungle. Stone arches bore symbols identical to those that glowed when Elias spoke with the heart. "These were made by my people," Luma said. "Before the hiding, you're not alone anymore," Elias said gently. Luma looked at him. "Neither are you." One night, as luminous spores drifted like stars around the sanctuary, Luma asked the question Elias had been avoiding. "Will you leave when you are healed?" Elias stared into the glowing canopy. "I don't know if I can," he admitted. "Part of me belongs here now, and part of you belongs out there," Luma said, gesturing toward the sky. "Where your people still don't understand." Elias nodded. That was the truth. The heart could speak, but only through someone willing to listen, someone human enough to be heard, and changed enough to be believed. A warning rippled through the ground. Elias felt it instantly. "Something's wrong," he said. The jungle darkened. The bioluminescence dimmed not with peace but with strain. From orbit, a new signal cut through the void, unauthorized, massive. A corporate extraction fleet, not military. Worse, They didn't sign the accords, Elias whispered. They won't listen. Luma's hands clenched. They will hurt the heart. Elias straightened, pain flaring but resolve harder than bone. Then I won't speak softly this time. He reached out not just to the heart, but beyond it into every channel that had once carried his voice. This is Captain Elias Rowe, he said, broadcasting across space. You are entering a living world. The corporate fleet did not slow. Drills deployed. The planet began to wake not in anger, but in defense. Elias felt it building tectonic pressure, storms forming in seconds, forests tightening like fists. Luma looked at him, fear and trust intertwined. If the heart strikes, the child said, many will die. Elias closed his eyes. Then I'll stand in the way. The ground trembled as the planet waited for his choice. The drills pierced the upper mantle, not deep enough to kill the heart, but enough to make it scream. Elias felt it ripple through his bones, a tidal wave of pain and instinct begging for release. Storm clouds formed in seconds, black and furious. The jungle coiled, vines thickening, stone grinding against stone as tectonic plates shifted like clenched teeth. The planet was ready to end the threat. Elias stepped forward, leaning heavily on his staff, and pressed his palm to the ground. No, he whispered. The heart hesitated. Elias opened every channel: corporate, civilian, black market, relays broadcasting, not power, but truth. This planet is alive, he said, voice trembling but clear, not as a resource, not as a weapon, as a being. Images flooded the feed's memories the heart allowed him to share. The drilling, the pain, the decision to isolate instead of annihilate. A world choosing restraint over revenge. You came here for profit, Elias continued. You found responsibility. The corporate commander laughed at first until the ground beneath their ship buckled, gently but undeniably, bending steel like clay without breaking it. Fear replaced greed. Withdraw the drills, Elias said softly, or the planet finishes waking. Silence. Then one by one the drills powered down. The storms slowed. The jungle loosened its grip. The heart calmed. The fleet retreated without another word. Elias collapsed. Luma was there instantly, holding him as the planet's glow softened to a warm, steady pulse. You could have destroyed them, the child said. Elias smiled weakly. So could the planet. But it didn't. Above them, the stars shone brighter as clouds parted. In the weeks that followed, Verex 9 was no longer called Forbidden. It was renamed Sanctuary World. A place no one could claim but everyone could learn from. Elias never fully left. He sent messages back to the stars, trained envoys, taught others to listen without taking. He aged beneath glowing leaves, watched Luma grow taller, wiser, more certain. One day, long after his limp had become a slow shuffle, Elias sat beside the stream where he'd first healed. Will the heart remember me? He asked. Luma smiled. It already does, the child said. You taught it something new. What's that? That mercy is stronger when chosen, Luma replied. When Elias finally lay down and closed his eyes, the planet did not mourn loudly. It grew a tree. Its roots wrapped gently around the place where he rested. Its leaves glowed softly, pulsing in time with a heart that had learned how to forgive. And across the galaxy, whenever a ship slowed instead of firing, whenever a world chose to speak before striking, some said it was policy, others said coincidence. But those who listened closely could still feel it. A planet breathing, a child watching the stars, and a pilot who crashed where no one survived, and taught a world how to choose mercy.